Here's something nobody tells you about supermarket shopping. The healthy section is usually the most dangerous. Walk down any aisle in Tesco or Sainsbury's and you'll find products screaming natural, wholesome, and nutritious on packaging, designed by marketing teams who've never seen the factory floor. Meanwhile, the ingredient lists read like chemistry homework from a particularly sadistic teacher. I've spent the last 3 months analysing what's actually inside Britain's most trusted grocery brands. What I found was genuinely shocking. Not just sugar bombs disguised as breakfast, but ultra-processed ingredients your great-grandmother wouldn't recognise as food. Right now, I'm going to walk you through 12 grocery items that should stay on the shelf in 2026. I'll show you what's really inside them, why the marketing is deliberately misleading, and most importantly, what you should be buying instead. Stick around until the end because I'm sharing my actual shopping method and the 30-second label check that filters out rubbish without making grocery shopping feel like a university degree. Let's start with something most people think is healthy. Number 12, Muller Corner yogurts. Every school lunchbox in Britain seems to have one of these. The little compartment with chocolate balls or strawberry sauce makes it feel interactive, almost fun. Parents grab multi-packs thinking calcium, protein, a bit of fruit, job done. Here's the uncomfortable truth. One Muller Corner contains more sugar than a crispy creme glazed donut. Between 14 and 17 grams, depending on the flavour. That's 4 teaspoons before your kids even had their Weetabix. But wait, it gets more ridiculous. That fruit corner? Check the strawberry variant. You'll find actual strawberries, sure, but they're drowning in glucose-fructose syrup, modified maize starch and gelling agents. The chocolate balls are palm oil, whey powder, and more sugar, masquerading as a treat. What you're buying is a dessert pretending to be dairy. Natural yogurt has 2 ingredients, milk and live cultures. This has about 18, half of which sound like they belong in a paint factory. Ever wonder why these taste sweeter than ice cream but somehow feel lighter? That's modified starch creating fake creaminess without actual fat. Your brain registers sweet and smooth, but your stomach's confused because there's nothing substantial to digest. The worst part, Muller has convinced parents that this is what yogurt looks like for children. An entire generation thinks proper yogurt needs a plastic compartment full of processed nonsense. But this next item might be even worse because it's fooled health-conscious adults who actually read labels. Number 11. Walkers, sensations, crisps. Right, so you've decided regular walkers are too pedestrian. You're reaching for sensations instead. Matte packaging, exotic flavours like Thai sweet chili. Costs nearly £3. You feel sophisticated. You feel like you're making better choices. Hate to break it to you, but you've been had. Walker sensations are fried in sunflower oil, which is basically liquid inflammation waiting to happen. Sunflower oil is packed with polyunsaturated fats that oxidize faster than a politician's promises. By the time these crisps reach your mouth, you're eating degraded fats your liver has to work overtime processing. Check the Thai sweet chili ingredients. Sugar is third on the list, followed by monosodium glutamate and disodium inosinate. Those aren't spices. They're lab-created flavor enhancers designed to hijack your brain's reward system, so you demolish the entire bag in one sitting. And you will demolish that bag. Then you'll feel slightly nauseous but unable to explain why. That's oxidized fats confusing your digestive system, while artificial flavors overstimulate your taste buds into submission. The poppadoms variant is particularly insulting. Real poppadoms are lentil or chickpea flour, shallow fried or roasted. These are potato starch with chickpea flour sprinkled in for marketing purposes, then deep fried in seed oil and dusted with lime flavoring. It's a crisp cosplaying as Indian food, and you pay double for the privilege. Speaking of things pretending to be healthy, this next one has somehow convinced doctors to recommend it. Number 10. Kingsmill 50/50 bread. Kingsmill 50/50 launched with genius marketing. The taste of white with the goodness of wholemeal, perfect for parents trying to sneak fibre into kids who'd rather eat cardboard than brown bread. Health visitors actively pushed this stuff for years. Schools recommended it. It became shorthand for responsible parent who cares about nutrition. Here's what those health visitors didn't check. The ingredient list has 14 items. Proper bread needs 4: flour, water, salt, and yeast. This contains wheat protein, soya flour, emulsifiers, flour treatment agents, and enough calcium propionate to preserve it longer than most relationships. The wholemeal flour isn't even proper wholemeal. It's been milled so fine that it behaves like white flour in your digestive system. You get a marginal fibre increase, but basically the same blood sugar spike as Wonder White. And those emulsifiers and vegetable fats, they're creating artificial softness. Real bread firms up after a day because it's actual food. This stays soft for a week because the preservatives have made it inhospitable to bacteria. If bacteria won't eat it, why should your children? That unnaturally spongy texture, the way it sort of bounces back when you squeeze it. That's not bread. That's an industrial product assembled from isolated components and engineered to remain shelf stable. But at least bread is meant to be processed a bit. This next item should be simple. I mean, it's literally just beans, but somehow they've still managed to ruin it. Number 9. Heinz baked beans. Oh, I can already hear the outrage. You can't come for Heinz beans. They're a British institution. They're on every fry-up from Land's End to John O'Groats. Yeah, well, British institutions have a habit of being terrible when you actually examine them. See, the weather, queuing, and emotional repression. A standard tin of Heinz beans contains nearly 10 grams of sugar. That's 2.5 teaspoons. Sugar is the 4th ingredient by weight, ahead of salt and vinegar. It's there to create that sweet tomato sauce British palates have somehow become addicted to. But it doesn't need to be there. Beans taste good without being candy-coated. Italians make beans in tomato sauce without turning them into dessert. We've just been conditioned to expect everything to taste like it's been dipped in syrup. That thick, glossy and clingy sauce is actually modified corn flour, creating artificial viscosity. Real tomato sauce separates and sits thinner on the plate. This stuff coats your beans like it's been mixed with wallpaper paste. And here's the really annoying bit. Heinz beans taste identical every single time. Doesn't matter if you buy them in Glasgow or Guildford in January or July. That's industrial standardization, not food. Real ingredients have natural variation. These have been processed into uniformity. This next one is particularly sneaky because it's specifically marketed to people trying to lose weight. Number 8. Weight Watchers meals. Weight Watchers rebranded to WW a few years back, trying to distance itself from diet culture. But the ready meals still scream Weight Watchers, because that's what sells to people desperate to drop a few stone. These meals are positioned as portion controlled, calorie counted, and designed by nutritionists who definitely care about your health and not just hitting point targets. Except here's the problem. These are ultra-processed foods engineered to be low in calories, not nutritious. Pick up any variant. The ingredients list runs to 30 or 40 items, including modified starches, thickeners, stabilizers, and enough E-numbers to fill a bingo card. The chicken tikka masala contains chicken, technically, but the sauce is mostly water, tomato paste, modified maize starch, sugar, xanthan gum, and E415. The rice is bulked out with cauliflower rice to slash calories, but it's been frozen and reheated so many times that it has the texture of damp sand. These meals are low in everything. Low protein, low fat, low actual food. They're designed to hit a calorie number that fits the WW algorithm, not to nourish a human being. Ever notice how these meals taste aggressively bland? Like food is happening, but there's no depth? That's because fat carries flavor and they've stripped it all out. To compensate, they add salt and sugar, but it doesn't work. It just tastes like sad food for sad people. And WW makes money from keeping you in the system. If you learned, To cook actual meals, you wouldn't need their subscription service and branded products anymore. But this next one isn't even pretending to help you, it's just pure convenience culture gone mad. Number 7. Uncle Ben's Microwave Rice. Now called Ben's Original after that 2020 rebrand, but the product itself remains unchanged. Pre-cooked rice in plastic pouches, ready in 90 seconds. Perfect for people who've apparently forgotten how to boil water. Students love it, shift workers rely on it, parents grab it when they can't be bothered cooking. It's marketed as foolproof convenience. Here's what you're actually buying. Rice that was cooked months ago, reheated, packaged in modified atmosphere plastic, and sitting on a shelf, slowly degrading. Real rice costs about 40 pence for a kilogram and takes 15 minutes. This costs £3 for 2 pouches, and it contains additives including sunflower oil and antioxidants to stop the rice from going rancid. Because rice shouldn't need antioxidants unless you've processed it so aggressively that it's chemically unstable. Those special flavors like the Mexican, Caribbean and Chinese styles are even more insulting. The Mexican variety lists tomato powder and paprika extract. That's not Mexican. That's what a food technologist from Slough thinks Mexican food should taste like after never visiting Mexico. And that slightly plasticky taste you get, especially if you've let it cool, that's preservatives and modified atmosphere packaging seeping into your dinner. Real rice doesn't taste like plastic because it hasn't been entombed in it for half a year. Mars Incorporated owns this brand. Yes, the chocolate bar company. They're selling you reheated rice in plastic for a 600% markup. Now, this next item is where the health washing becomes genuinely offensive because it's specifically designed to trick parents. Number 6. Hovis Best of Both Bread. Hovis trades on heritage. Sepia-toned marketing, traditional fonts, imagery of simpler times when bread was bread and men were men, and everyone died of rickets by 40. Best of Both launched as the bread that tricks kids into eating wholemeal. Half white, half wholemeal, giving you nutrition without compromise. Parents grabbed it, thinking they'd found a loophole. Check the ingredients: wheat flour, water, wheat protein, yeast, salt, fermented wheat flour, vegetable fat, soya flour, emulsifiers, and flour treatment agent. That's not bread. That's an industrial product assembled from isolated components. The wheat protein and added fiber are there to manipulate the nutrition panel, but protein extracted from wheat and dumped back in isn't the same as protein naturally present in whole grain. And despite wholemeal claims, this still spikes your blood sugar almost as fast as white bread. The glycemic index barely differs. You're getting white bread's metabolic impact with marginally elevated fiber that's been artificially enhanced. That weirdly soft, almost spongy texture, that's emulsifiers and vegetable fat creating a fake structure. Real bread has texture from gluten development during kneading and proving. This has texture from chemical engineering. Alright, we're about to enter the top 5, and this is where things get truly mental, because these next products have somehow convinced the entire country they're healthy. If you're still watching, you probably own at least 3 of the items we've covered. Don't feel bad? That's exactly how this works. These companies spend millions on marketing psychology specifically to make you grab products without thinking. But the next 5? These are the ones that have infiltrated health food sections and convinced nutritionists they're beneficial. One of them is literally recommended by the NHS in some trusts. If someone in your life still thinks fruit juice and smoothies are healthy, they need to see what's coming next. Send this there. Way before they pour another glass of liquid sugar. Number 5. Tropicana Orange Juice. Tropicana owns the premium juice market in the UK. Condensation droplets photoshopped onto oranges, tagline original orange with juicy bits. Pricing that suggests you're basically drinking liquid sunshine imported from Florida specifically for your breakfast table. You're not. Tropicana is made from concentrate. Oranges are juiced in Florida or Brazil. The water is evaporated to create a concentrate. That concentrate is frozen and shipped across the Atlantic. Then water is added back to a UK facility. During this process, oxygen is removed to prevent spoilage. Sounds sensible until you realise that oxygen removal strips out all the natural flavour compounds that make oranges taste like oranges, so they add flavour packs. These are engineered blends created by the same fragrance companies that make perfume, using orange byproducts and chemical compounds. They're technically natural because they're derived from oranges, but they're manufactured to create a consistent Tropicana taste that barely resembles actual orange juice. Ever notice how Tropicana tastes more orange than actual oranges? Like it's almost aggressively orange flavoured. That's the flavour pack. Fresh orange juice tastes different depending on variety, growing conditions, and ripeness. This tastes identical every time because it's been chemically standardized. A 250 ml glass contains 22 grams of sugar. That's 5.5 teaspoons. But it's from fruit. Yeah, well, so is the sugar in Fanta. Your pancreas doesn't care about the source. Fructose is fructose. And if you think that's bad, this next one has somehow become the default healthy snack, despite being nutritionally identical to a soft drink. Number 4. Innocent smoothies. Oh, innocent. With their quirky bottle copy and twee brand voice. And that time they put little woolly hats on bottles for charity. How could something so whimsical possibly be unhealthy? Very easily, as it turns out. A standard 250 ml bottle of innocent strawberries and bananas contains 26 grams of sugar. That's 6.5 teaspoons. A can of Coke contains 35 grams for 330 ml, so you're not far off once you account for volume. But it's natural sugar from fruit, I hear you cry. Right, and arsenic is natural too. Doesn't mean you should drink it. When you blend fruit into liquid and remove the fibre by straining, you create a sugar bomb that hits your bloodstream fast. Eating 2 bananas and a handful of strawberries would take time, require chewing, and leave you full because of the intact fibre. Drinking it takes 30 seconds and leaves you hungry 20 minutes later. Innocent will claim their smoothies count toward your 5 a day. Technically true. Nutritionists increasingly argue that juice and smoothies shouldn't count the same way whole fruit does because the glycemic response is completely different. And that slightly artificial aftertaste some innocent smoothies have, like there's something almost perfume-like underneath the fruit. That's industrial blending, breaking down fruit at high speed, oxidizing natural compounds. Fresh fruit blended at home tastes cleaner because it hasn't been sitting in a bottle for days. Here's the kicker. Coca-Cola bought Innocent in 2013. The company that makes Sprite and Fanta now owns the brand that positioned itself as the antidote to sugary drinks. They saw the health drink market and thought, we'll have some of that, thanks. And everyone kept buying it because the bottles have funny little messages, and that makes it feel wholesome. This next one is particularly galling because it specifically targets people trying to eat healthily, but it's actually worse than the unhealthy option. Number 3. Cathedral City Mature Cheddar Slices. Cathedral City is Britain's biggest cheese brand by volume. It's become shorthand for proper British cheese in the national consciousness. And people trust it because it's Cathedral City, because it's been around forever, because surely the biggest cheese brand makes actual cheese. Well, spoiler, they don't. Cathedral City mature cheddar slices aren't really cheese. They're processed cheese products. Check the label. Cheddar cheese? Yes, but also water, milk proteins, emulsifying salts, preservatives, and colouring. Real cheese is milk, salt, starter culture, and rennet. 4 ingredients. This is an industrial approximation. The emulsifying salts create uniform melting and keep the slices soft in the packet. Natural aged cheddar doesn't behave like this. It crumbles, it has texture variation, it develops crystals as it matures. Ever notice how these slices melt into this uniform, slightly rubbery texture? Like it goes smooth but doesn't separate or bubble the way proper cheddar does? That's emulsifiers creating an artificially stable structure. Your toasty looks Instagram perfect but tastes like a plastic approximation of cheese. Cathedral City is owned by Saputo Dairy UK, part of Saputo Inc., a Canadian multinational with revenue exceeding $14 billion. Right, we've reached the top two, and these are genuinely shocking because they're both marketed specifically as health foods, yet they're arguably worse than eating actual junk food. Number 2, Quaker Oat So Simple Golden Syrup Porridge. Porridge has an unshakable health halo in the UK. It's the sensible breakfast, the warming start, the choice that means you're taking nutrition seriously. Quaker has dominated this market for decades. Their Oat So Simple sachets are positioned as convenient, portion-controlled and wholesome. Office kitchens stock them by the box. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Golden syrup flavour contains 10 grams of sugar per sachet. A bowl of Frosties contains 11 grams. You're eating sugar-coated oats marketed as health food. And that weird chemical sweetness instant porridge has? Like, it doesn't taste of golden syrup exactly. More like the concept of golden syrup filtered through a laboratory. That's artificial flavouring approximating something that should be simple and real. Quaker makes plain oat. So simple with zero added sugar. But those are often more expensive per box and positioned less prominently because they don't sell as well. The company knows people reach for flavoured versions, so that's where the marketing budget goes. They're actively encouraging you to buy the sugar-loaded version whilst maintaining plausible deniability, because the plain option technically exists. And finally, at number 1, we have something so egregiously marketed as healthy that it's actually offensive. Number 1, Muller Light yogurt. This is it. The absolute worst grocery item you can buy in 2026. Muller Light yogurt, only 99 calories per pot, fat-free, protein-rich, approved by Slimming World and Weight Watchers. Sold in multi-packs with flavours like strawberry and toffee. It's positioned as the guilt-free dessert, the smart snack, the choice that lets you have something sweet without derailing your diet. British women have been buying these in industrial quantities for 2 decades, thinking they're supporting weight loss goals. Here's what Muller doesn't advertise. This achieves its low calorie count by stripping out all the fat that makes yogurt satisfying, then replacing it with artificial sweeteners, modified starch, and thickeners to recreate texture. The ingredients: skimmed milk, strawberries, modified starch, milk proteins, sweeteners like acesulfame K, and sucralose. There are also thickeners, flavourings, colour and vitamin D. Real yogurt is milk and live cultures. This is a dairy-flavoured gel engineered to be low-calorie regardless of nutritional value. The artificial sweeteners are the real scandal. Acesulfame K and sucralose are synthetic compounds, hundreds of times sweeter than sugar. They train your palate to expect extreme sweetness, making naturally sweet foods like fruit taste bland by comparison. Some research suggests they may disrupt gut bacteria and insulin response. But even if they're metabolically neutral, they're psychologically destructive because they prevent you from recalibrating your taste preferences. And because Muller Light is fat-free, it doesn't trigger satiety signals. Your body registers sweetness but doesn't feel nourished. That's why people eat 3 or 4 in one sitting and still feel hungry. That slightly chemical aftertaste diet yogurts leave, that metallic note lingering for minutes, that's an artificial sweetener. Natural yogurt with real fruit doesn't do this. Muller Light is owned by the same company that makes Muller Corner. They've created 2 products targeting different consumers. One sells sugar to children, the other sells artificial sweeteners to dieters. Both are ultra-processed. Neither is actually nutritious, but both are marketed as sensible choices while selling industrial ingredients designed for profit margins, not health. So what should you actually buy? Right, I promised alternatives. Here are 4 grocery items worth your money. Number 1, Phage Total Greek Yogurt Proper Yogurt. Strained Greek style with just milk and live cultures. Full fat version contains about 10 grams of protein per serving and actual fat that signals fullness. Want sweetness? Add fresh berries or honey. You control sugar content instead of having it hidden by manufacturers. The texture is thick and creamy because that's what happens when you strain yogurt to remove whey, not because thickeners have been added. Check ingredients: milk, cream, cultures, nothing else. Available everywhere, around £3 for 500 grams. Use it for breakfast with fruit as a sour cream substitute or mix with cucumber and garlic for tzatziki. Number 2, Bergen bread. Proper seeded bread with visible grains throughout. Check soya and linseed. Whole wheat flour, water, linseed, soya, oats, wheat gluten, yeast, salt. Fibre from actual whole grains, not added cellulose. The bread has texture and weight because it's made from substantial ingredients. It doesn't stay soft for a week because it's real food that firms up naturally. Around £2 a loaf from most supermarkets. Alternatively, find a local bakery making sourdough with just flour, water and salt. Number 3, Waitrose freshly squeezed orange juice. This brand uses juice that's actually pressed from oranges, not reconstituted from frozen concentrate. You get pulp, natural variation, and actual freshness. It expires quickly because there's no processing to extend shelf life artificially. If you want to go even further, buy actual oranges and juice them yourself. It costs less once you account for volume and tastes completely different. It's cleaner, fresher, with natural variation based on the orange variety. Number 4, Pasta Evangelists. Head to your supermarket's chilled section and grab Pasta Evangelist's fresh pasta, available in Tesco, Sainsbury's and Waitrose. The ingredient list is durum wheat semolina, eggs and water. 3 ingredients. That's it. Compare that to dried artisan pasta in fancy packaging containing modified starch, emulsifiers and other additives designed to give it that premium appearance while extending shelf life. Fresh pasta costs around £3 to £4 for 250 grams, but cooks in just 3 minutes and tastes incomparably better. This is what pasta should taste like before industrial processing turned it into shelf-stable convenience. Here's my actual shopping method that filters out rubbish in 30 seconds. Pick up any product, turn it over, read the ingredients. If the list runs longer than 5 or 6 items, question why. Real food doesn't require stabilizers, emulsifiers, modified starches, and 3 types of sugar with alternative names. Check for warning signs. Modified, hydrogenated, hydrolyzed. These words signal industrial processing. Look for E numbers. Whilst not all additives are harmful, their presence indicates a significant alteration from the natural state. Notice packaging claims versus actual ingredients. All natural means nothing if the ingredient list includes flavor enhancers and preservatives. No added sugar usually means artificial sweeteners. Low fat typically means high sugar to compensate. Compare 2 similar products, own brand versus branded, budget versus premium. Check if ingredients actually differ or if you're paying extra for marketing. The smell test works. Open anything claiming to be real food. Does it smell like that food? Does strawberry yogurt smell of strawberries or artificial flavoring? Check manufacturing locations. Products made in Germany or Italy often follow stricter regulations than UK equivalents. Some European countries have banned additives, still permitted here. Look at shelf. Positioning. Eye-level products are there because manufacturers paid for that space. Good stuff is often bottom shelf, where you have to bend down. Once you've internalized these patterns, shopping takes the same time, but you're making informed decisions instead of trusting marketing departments. You'll walk past entire sections without temptation because you'll recognize ultra-processed products instantly. And honestly, we're now in an era of engineered eating. By stripping away the high-quality components and stabilizing the rest with synthetic fillers, manufacturers have turned groceries into a high-margin science project. They rely on our visual autopilot to move product. You can break that cycle. Genuine ingredients haven't vanished, they've just been crowded out. Learning the difference is your only real defense. So what's your take? Been buying these products for years thinking they were healthy? Shocked by what's actually in Muller Light or innocent smoothies? Drop a comment below because I want to know which item you're leaving on the shelf from now on. And if this video just stopped you from filling your trolley with ultra-processed rubbish disguised as nutrition, share it. Send it to anyone still grabbing Weight Watchers ready meals thinking they're supporting their health. Anyone who deserves to know what they're actually eating.